Hello programmers. In today's class we are going to look into how we can add, delete and rename rows and columns. So for this I have already imported Pandas module and I have declared a dictionary. I have created DataFrame object through pd.dataframe and I have added this dictionary as an argument. That means I have created DataFrame through dictionary of list. And now if I print the DataFrame object, I get this table. So this is my DataFrame I have already created. Now let us start with how we can add a new column. So first of all I am going to add a column through df, and in this I'll take my column name. So the column I am going to add is physics and I am going to assign the values in a list, and then I'm giving some random numbers only, maybe 77. So 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 and that's all. And if I print my df object, I'll get this table now. So this physics column has been added in my data frame. Now coming to the second way, when we add a column with the same data, how we are going to add column with same data. Okay, so for this I'll take data frame object and in this square bracket I'll take a column maybe maths and I will assign one data only, and for one data no need to take list, just a number and then print your data frame object. Now if you see, for this math column I have given only one value, so in all the rows the same value is added, the same value is inserted. So this way when you want to insert the same value for all the records, then you can use this way. Now coming to the third way, where I am going to add a column maybe English and maths. Okay, so here I am going to add English and maths column and I will store it in a new column. Okay, so I'll add English and maths marks and then I'll store it in a new column. So this way I'm going to add a new column where I am doing some calculations. So for that you have to take data frame object and then give the new column name. So I want my column name as a total, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this assignment operator and the column name I said I will add English and I will add with df and then maths. Okay, so this way you can even add all the columns. So I'm just showing you, so not going to type all the columns, and then you will display your data frame. Shift and enter. Now you can see this this total has 101, which means 78 plus 23. Okay, which makes it 101. So this is the third way of adding a column. Okay, now coming to the next way of adding a column, where you can specify the condition, the position. As in our earlier codes, you can see this physics. When we added physics is added at the as a last one. When we add maths, it is added in the last position, and even the total is added in the last position. So that means whenever you are adding a new column, it's added in the as a last column. So what if you want to add a new column in a particular place, in a particular location? So what you can do is you can use, so here I am adding column in a specific position. Okay, so for this you have to take your data frame object and then dot and then insert is the method which you can use. Now this method, it will take few arguments. First argument is the position, so I am giving 2. Okay, so I want to add a new column in this position. Give the name of your column. So what should be the name? Okay, I'll give skills. Okay, as I have already given English, physics, chemistry, maths, IP. Okay, so skills I have given as a new subject, and I'll give the marks of this subject. Now you have to give 5 marks, 5 numbers, so some random numbers only, and 99. Okay, so I have added these numbers also, and then what you can do is you can print your data frame, shift and enter, and now you can see as I have added skills in second position, that means this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So this is the place where I have added a new column. So even you can use dot insert to insert a column in a particular position. Okay, now coming to how you can add rows. Now we have seen a few methods of adding column. Now coming to the rows. Now to add rows, first way. Now when you want to add a row, you can use LOC also. So here I'll show you that way also. So I am using dot LOC, and here, as you know, LOC will take the row index. So row index in our case, it is numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here you can add the row index, maybe it is maybe 5. I am going to add a new row and with the index as 5. Okay, so give the numbers or give the record. Okay, so here I am going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 7 numbers I have to insert. 3, 4, 5, 6. If you do not insert the same number of data, then what happens? Let us see. Okay, so here I'll print df. It will give me error. Okay, so this way you have to insert exactly same number of columns, values for all the columns. So that means you have to give one more value for this, and then you can use shift and enter. Now you can see this, a new record is inserted, and this is the data we have given for this new row: 90, 89, 78, 67, 56, 45 and 67. Okay, so this is one way of adding a row. Now the second way of adding a row is, so here I am going to add row with the help of append method. Okay, so append will always add the row at the end. So what you can do is take a data frame object and then use append. Okay, now what I am trying to do right now, I am going to insert a row where I am giving data for only one column, that is for English, and for rest of the columns I am not giving data. So if I try to do that, I'll take English as my column, and I try to give a value maybe 90, and if I try to execute this, I'll get error. So you can read this error. It's giving us can only append a series. That means we can only append a series if ignore underscore index is equal to true, or if the series has a name. That means we can do this also, but in this case, when you want to give data for only one column and insert a new row, in that case you have to use ignore underscore index is equal to true. Now if you try to execute it, you will not get any error. And where we have given data for only English column, and for the rest of the columns NaN is added. What is NaN? NaN is not a number. That means data frame will insert NaN where the data is missing for the columns. Okay, so this way you can append a new row. Now let us see when you want to add. This is when we added one row. when we want to add multiple rows, then what we can do? We can do one thing. We can append a data frame in another data frame. Okay, so here what I am going to do, I'll take this and I will copy paste. Okay, so here I am taking marks only, and the column name I'll keep it same, but I am going to give values for 3 rows only in my second data frame. The same way for another column 3 values only, and for another column 3 values. That means I am going to give 3 values only, or 3 records only. And if you can see, in my first data frame I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7 columns, but here in the second data frame I am taking only 3 columns with 3 rows. These are the rows and we are taking only 3 columns. And what we can do is, this way I'll create a new data frame, maybe df2. Okay, and if I print this data frame, then can you see, this is my second data frame where we have 3 columns and we have 3 rows. Now what I'll do is, I will append the data frame. That means my first data frame was df only. Here I will do df.append, and then in this first data frame I am adding the rows of second data frame. Second data frame was df2. Okay, and here what I'll do is, I will use ignore index is equal to, first of all let me execute this. Okay, so can you see this? As in my second data frame we have 3 rows, 3 columns, first of all 3 rows and 3 columns. So 3 rows are 0, this is 0 1 2. Okay, and 3 columns were for English, informatics and chemistry. For rest of the columns and for the rest of the rows, not rows exactly, for rest of the columns NaN is added. Now can you see, if I am appending my first data frame with another data frame, what the Pandas is doing, it is taking index of first data frame, then it is appending the data frame, the row indexes of second data frame. Now what if I want to just continue with the first row index only? So in that case we can give an argument, what, ignore underscore index is equal to, and then write trua. Okay, and then what you can do, when you do this thing, you can see now this row index is continuing, it's of the first data frame only. So after 5, instead of 0 1 2 3 1 2, it's 6 7 and 8. Okay, so this way you can add one more, this is one more way of adding rows. So we have seen how we can add columns, we have seen how we can add rows. Okay, now coming to the second topic, which is renaming rows and then renaming column. So first of all we will see how we can rename multiple rows. Okay, so in that case when you want to okay, first of all let me take column. Okay, so renaming multiple columns. Now in that case use your data frame object and then rename. Rename is the method name. So I am doing rename, and then I'll write columns. Columns, as you know, this columns is an attribute of data frame object. And now for this I have to give the column name in the dictionary. Okay, so as we have multiple columns, so the first column is English, so I'll change the name English. This was my first column. I want to give it a name as maybe S1. Okay, now for the second column I'll take another column as chemistry. For chemistry also I want to change the name, and I will take as S2. Okay, now if I execute it, Now instead of English I am getting S1, instead of chemistry I am getting S2. So this is one way of renaming column when we want to rename multiple columns. But if I check my data frame object again, can you see this? There is no any permanent change. As you know, we have, if you want to do any permanent change, in last class also I have told you, you have to take argument as in place is equal to true and shift and enter. And if I execute this data frame, now you can see this has made permanent change, and this is one way of renaming your column. Multiple columns we have seen. Okay, now another way of renaming column, when you want to make a permanent change, you can do it in one line also. How? Like you can use df.columns columns, okay, and give in this, you can give the name of your columns. Like I want to give S1 comma S2, let us see, S3. I am going to change all the subject name, S4, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So S5, S6, and one more column, S7. Now this way I can change all the column name, and then I can check my data frame. As you can see, if you are using this method of renaming your column, it will make permanent changes. You don't have to use in place is equal to true in this case. Okay, so coming to another way of renaming now. Now how we can rename a row index. So we are going to see how we can rename row index. Okay, so for this you have to use your data frame and then dot, and then the method name is rename only, and in this you have to use index. For columns, if you remember, we use columns. For columns, if you want to rename, you have to use columns, and if you want to rename your row, you have to use index. That's all. Okay, now in this index, give the row which you want to rename. For example, I am going to rename 4 and I want to give it name as A4, and after that I want to rename one more row, maybe 5. I want to rename this also A5. Okay, so this is the way you can use to rename your row index. Now instead of 4 and 5, we have renamed our row index as A4 and A5. Now this is one way of renaming index or renaming a row index. Now what if you want to rename both the row and column? Can we do that? Yes, we can do it. When you want to rename both rows and columns, then what you can do is you have to use same df.rename. Rename is the method we are going to use, and now for columns I'll give columns as I told you already, and here in this you can give your column which you want to rename. Maybe I'll rename this S2 and I'll make it as ENG. Okay, and for one more column I am going to rename maybe S5. S5 I am going to give it as maths. Okay, so this is the column I have taken. Now I am going to rename my row index also. For this I have to take index, as I told you already. Here you will give the index. I want to rename 0 as A1, and I want to rename 1 also as A2. So that's all. I have renamed both rows and columns in one line only. Now you can see this is S2 and S5 has become English and maths, and A1 instead of 0 and 1, it's displaying A1 and A2. So this is all about rename, how we can rename rows. We have seen how we can rename column. We have seen how we can rename both rows and columns. Okay. Now let us come to the next part, and that is how we can delete the rows and columns. Okay. Now for deleting rows and columns, there are three different ways we can use. First one is drop. Let us see how we can drop our rows and columns. First of all, when you want to drop multiple rows, okay, then what we can do? When you want to drop multiple rows, then okay, we have to use drop method, D-R-O-P, okay, data frame and then drop, and then give your row indexes. Now first of all, let us check with our data frame. What I am doing is I am taking it in a clipboard, Control X. Let me check data frame if the change is permanent or not. Now this is the original data frame, okay, and as we have not done in place is equal to true, okay, so the change was not permanent. Okay, now let us come back to our drop method. Now here I am taking drop and then I am giving the row indexes. I am going to delete two rows, so maybe 3 and 5, and then shift and enter. Now you can see this 1, 2, 3 is not there, after 2, 3 is not there, and 4 and 5 is not there. So this way you can drop your multiple rows. Now let us see how we can drop multiple columns or a single column even. So for dropping multiple column, you have to use drop, D-R-O-P, drop, or maybe single column. First of all, let us see. Like I want to drop S1. So when you are giving your column as S1, okay, you want to drop a column. First of all, type COLUMNS, columns is equal to, okay, and then give your column name. Shift and enter. Okay, so you can see this, there is no S1 existing in our data frame. Let us check our data frame. As you can see, this change was not permanent. If you want to permanently delete it, you can type in place is equal to true here. So type in place is equal to true. The changes will be permanent. Okay, now if you check your data frame, there is no S1 existing. Now coming to the how we can drop multiple columns. Okay, so to drop multiple columns, there are two ways. First way is you can use df.drop, and then in this take column COLUMNS, and you can take the list of columns. Okay, so here I am going to drop S2 column and comma, I want to drop S5 column also. So shift and enter will execute it, and you can see this. If I check there, it's not a permanent change. If I check it again, there is no any permanent change in our data frame. So this is one way of dropping multiple columns when you want to drop multiple columns. Okay, now there is another way. I'll just copy it and paste it. Now let us see the second way of dropping multiple columns. In this you can use drop and then take the list of the columns you want to drop, and then in this you can give second argument as axis is equal to 1. And if you know axis is equal to 1 is for column, axis is equal to 0 is for the row index. If I print it, S2 and S5 is dropped. If you want to make a permanent change, you can give another argument as in place is equal to true. Shift and enter. Now if you check your data frame, this is deleted. S2 and S5 is permanently deleted. So these are the two ways of dropping multiple columns. Now let us see how we can drop rows. Okay, df.drop only, and in this you can take your row index. Maybe I want to drop 4, and then you can give axis is equal to 0. This is one way, and then execute it. So if you see axis is equal to 0 we have given, that means for rows, and we have deleted row label as 4. As I told you, this is not a permanent change. If you check it, it's not deleted because we have not taken in place is equal to true. Now let us see, there is one more way of deleting your rows, and that is df.drop, and in this give the name of the row label, and then axis is equal to, now instead of 0 stands for row and 1 stands for column. Instead of 0 I can take ROWS, and then if I execute, you can see the row labeled as 4 is deleted. So this is the way you can use, instead of axis is equal to 0 you can even write axis is equal to rows, and that row will be deleted. Now if you check your data frame, you can see there is no any permanent change, row labeled as 4 is still there. Now in such case, when you want to delete it permanently, you can do one more thing. Either you can use in place is equal to true, or what you can do, you can assign it in the same data frame object. That means I am doing the drop operation and I am assigning it in df only. So here I'll take df.drop, and then maybe 4 only I'll use the row label, and you can use axis is equal to give rows, shift and enter. If you check it, this is a permanent change. Now this is another way of dropping the rows. Now what if you want to drop both rows and columns in one command? That also you can do by taking df.drop, and then in this I'll take first index is equal to, and give the in the row label you want to drop. For example, I want to drop 0 and maybe 3, and along with it columns. In this also get the list of the column you want to drop. I'll take S3 and maybe S7, okay, and then shift and enter. So can you see this? 0 and third row is dropped, and same time S3 and S7 is also dropped in one command. So these are the ways where you can use drop method to drop all the rows and the columns. Now let us see another way, which is pop. So pop is one more way when you want to delete a column. So what is the difference between pop and this drop is, first of all let us check our data frame object. So this is our data frame. Now let us use our pop. So pop, and then in this give your column name. So I'll take column name as maybe S3. So the difference between pop and drop is, when you use pop, it will return the column which is deleted. So as we have deleted S3 and the column values were 45, 67, 78, 90 and 78. The same. This is the same column which this data frame has dropped, as well as it is it will return that column. Okay. Now if you check your data frame, so as you can see through pop it's the permanent change. That means when you use pop, and if you want to drop a column permanently, you can use pop. Okay. Now as I told you, this pop will take the argument, and that argument is the column name which you want to drop. Okay. And the last method of deleting your column is, you can use del. Okay, so in this del you can use data frame and then give the name of your column. So maybe S6 I want to delete. When I use shift and enter, and now if you check your data frame, so you can see that column is also dropped. Okay, so the difference between drop, del and pop I already told you. Pop is going to return the deleted column, and rest all are not. And now if you check your data frame object, it's permanently deleted. So these are the ways you can use to add, rename and drop columns and rows. In our next class we are going to see more about our data frame. That's all for today's class. Thank you so much for watching.